This episode, I get to speak with an incredible artist in residence, Chun. She is a movement expert who specializes in multiple dance styles and will debut her show called The 5 Elements at Jump Into the Light on September 3rd. We talk about her background and the Yin and Yang philosophy from which the 5 elements stem. She traces the feminine cycle within the 5 elements, and we get to talking about the place of the feminine in our culture. We also talk about the developing relationship between tech and dance. Find her on Instagram at Venus Chun. Please enjoy. Venus Chun, welcome to Immersive Talks.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Palmer.
Yeah, we're here on a Wednesday at Jump Into the Light, and you've got a big show coming up here. Before we get into that, I'd love for the listeners to get a little bit of background on who you are and where you come from.
Yeah, my name is Chun, so please call me Chun. I'm reading from dance, so that's all I do very, very well. I think dance has brought me a really amazing journey. So I met with incredible artists and people from other modalities. I did explore trying to do others like parts like with companies, with record labels, with costume design, with production, with lighting, with directing, with acting, with singing. But I realized that I really enjoy very much the transcendence of movement and the not having to speak and being able to transcend thoughts or ideas or emotions through movement purely. And that's what I've been focusing on for the past 10 years.
How did you get to New York?
Oh, I moved here a few times. The irony is that at first I didn't want to move here. I think my story is a little different. But I think coming from Singapore, like a very cosmopolitan, heart of Asia, commerce, trade city, it was very normal to travel. Like the norm for me was traveling. So I grew up traveling with my parents, like to Jakarta. I was brought up in Indonesia as well.
Oh, wow.
I did a lot of traveling. So it was normal for me. So thanks to that, I had a lot more opportunities that opened up. So I lived in Japan for a while.
Oh, wow. Where in Japan?
Tokyo and Osaka. Mainly longest time was 2010. When I did more studio and I really wanted to be more strong in hip hop and urban. But yeah, what brought me here was definitely I applied to all the studios I used to work at or dance for or cooperate with. Taiwan, Melbourne, Shanghai, Hong Kong, like London, the major cities. And then so I applied back to New York because I was here in 2006 and 2008. And I was like, no, this is too crazy for me. People are terrible. They're very rude Americans and they're not meticulous. They're just disorganized. And I just was like, no, I'm not having it. I was like, no, I'm out. I closed all my accounts. I left very happily and going back to Asia where I did so much of my resume work there and all the amazing things and tours. And it was great. But I think at a point in my life, I was like, I felt that there was more for me. I wanted artistic growth. Yeah. So I decided to apply back to all the major cities that I was before just to give it, I told myself just 1 year. So this 1 year grew into 5 years for now. And the next project led to the next. So I'm still also curious and open to see where this journey takes me.
When you talk about hip hop and urban, that's still a focus of yours, right? That's like a big focus. And I feel like New York is one of the best places for that, right?
I think this is where the birthplace is true. But I think what Asia has done is amazing. That they literally took what was in a time capsule and used the whole systemization. That's why I think if you really want to be an amazing hip-hop dance teacher, I would highly recommend, minus the language barrier, to actually go to Japan, go to Korea to see how they teach hip-hop. Well, technically a Western form, but how it's dissected, how it's organized, how it's taught. I think I really wanted to be a better hip hop teacher, specifically to be able to dissect and break down things. So that was my kind of opening towards Tokyo and Japan. And
cool. So you're taking this passion that you have for movement of the body and you're fusing it with tech in this latest show that you're doing with Jump. So going off of what you were just saying, can you kind of bridge the gap for us and how you were starting to think about the 5 elements, this show that you're putting on with Jump?
Thank you for asking. You asked the best questions. I think it was really also another accidental opportunity. I think if I could summarize my whole life, it's accidental, serendipitous opportunities of surprises and also like horrors at the same time.
Yes.
But it's yin and yang, dark and light. So with every white, there's dark, and with every dark, there's light. So with this project, it's the same. I just wanted to delve deeper within 5 elements.
Which are?
Yeah, so I'm doing it in the actual feminine cycle because my brand is Venus, the feminine energy. I've always been trying to explore more of that realm as I mature more as a woman. So I'm going in the feminine cycle, the Ke cycle, as opposed to masculine. I chose to start with water instead. So the peaceful element, and it goes into fire. And after fire, it goes into metal, and metal to wood. And would finally to end on Earth and Mother Earth, and to tie up the whole thing with the Yin and Yang finale. I chose that way is because I really wanted to, even myself as I continue to grow as a person and a dancer and a choreographer and a mover, I feel I want to get in touch with my feminine side and who I am, and finding that voice more in not just my brand, but also my person as a reflection of myself.
So for the people who don't really understand the difference between yin and yang, could you just do sort of a quick overview?
The thing I like is a philosophy. So it's like, it's also abstract at the same time concrete. Basically, to me, it aligns with science of how we dissect and understand the world. So it's man's viewpoint. So it's a view. It's not the view, but it's a view. So we believe that just like the Tao, the symbol of yin and yang, comes from Tao philosophy, and based in Tao religion. But the concept itself, it's every dark there is light. I mean, to be like layman, as you would put, simple, it's masculine and feminine. But even within what defines feminine is so different from what, in the Asian context, is very different from how a Western person would define feminine. So that's so much more depth. I'm unsure how to share. But I think it's the idea of actually I recommend this new book. It's called The Future is Female. It's pretty interesting. But it's a Western philosophy and take on what the feminine energy is. And I think it's pretty accurate. In a nutshell to share, it's about, thank you, like the world is so like in your face, like aggressive, a lot of war, a lot of pollution, a lot of like that constitutes to masculine energy. And it's not even male, like females could be masculine. It's an energy concept. And then female would be like nurturing, giving, exhale. It could be, it's like how French would define table, chair, like masculine and feminine. It's something so also almost abstract, and conceptual. So that's generally, but within every masculine form, there's always feminine. And with every feminine, there's also masculine. And that's one way. So yin and yang is not just in masculine, feminine per se, but it's also in everything. Our bicep, tricep, our body, our inhale is yang to take the oxygen, exhale, give yin. It could be in so many other ways, in energy, in personality, but the key is to find balance of yin and yang. It's always the goal to achieve. And it's this constant, like almost like a tango dance and a constant push and pull, like centrifugal versus centrifugal force. And they all oppose the expanding universe with the contraction. Everything is in harmony. So that's the goal. So every time you see a TCM doctor, how do you realize he will tell you, okay, he doesn't say this is not, well, he said, this is imbalanced. This is not very well balanced. You have areas in this part of your organ, and this organ constitutes this element. It's a lot. It's a whole like medical study just on the body alone with the 5 elements and yin and yang. But how it works in tandem is a relationship. So the 5 elements is birthed out of the yin and yang. First, you have to understand the yin and yang. Second, as you go deeper into the TCM philosophy, the 5 elements are like Power Rangers, 5 different colors with 5 different personalities, but they all are one and they work as a unit and a team. So think of 5 people holding hands in a star. So if one person pulls, the other person will feel the push, and it's a symbiotic relationship with 5 different inverted commas personalities. Each of them, they have their own individual role, and together they work together. So the whole human body, it's divided in different systems, of course, to make it very simple. But each system requires each other to create and function and optimize And so without one, there is no the other. They all are important with different roles and different, like the nervous system is completely different from your muscular system, from a skeletal system, for example. But they all are very important. You can't have no nerves and have a bone, and it just does not work. Like the beautiful body design and the whole world is designed that way with animals. Everything's in order with 6 legs. There is a balance of the ecosystem, more or less. So it's this whole entire journey. So I just wanted to share this concept in a dance form and show it, because I like that dance is the energy. You can feel the performer's energy even without saying any words. I think that's the beauty of dance that I wanted to showcase, and my whole life is about exploring this silent movement almost, and how much you can say without saying anything at all. I think and I like that live immersive theater experience that you can create with VR and AR and all the technology to support even a more dynamic, immersive, 3-dimensional, spiritual almost experience that you can't even put into words. That's what I want to create in the show.
So in all these different industries, there are masculine and feminine roles that have been dictated by the institutions that have come before it for generations. And now we're starting to talk about where the place of the feminine is. And it's something that I'm fascinated with, because I believe that having a place for the feminine in every conversation, in every institution, is extremely important to gaining emotional intelligence and gaining compassion, and things that are oftentimes nixed in several different industries that we're sort of subject to as individuals of society. So for you, what is your perspective on the feminine in dance? I'm wondering what your take is on the place of the feminine in the dance world and in the movement world.
Great question. It's hard to phrase. Thank you for phrasing it so beautifully. I think with every, just like each element has a characteristic and a personality, I think every dance style within the dance industry has a personality and an energy and kind of, it's like a whole new person. So it's almost like, for me at least, I do multiple styles. Not all dancers do. I made that cognitive choice to be versatile, and that is my strong suit. I'm known for my versatility as a mover, dancer, choreographer, creator. So if they require specialization, I will definitely refer to my other amazing colleagues who are extremely specialized. So I think that's the beauty of dance, and I think it's definitely normal to classical, conventional perception. Of course, there are so much of culture and stereotypes and pathways. I think the beautiful part of being an artist is that you challenge these pathways. Example, how did modern came about before ballet was around? And basically, people start to question, like, why do I always have to be a happy ballerina all the time? I mean, of course, how was ballet born? It's from a court dance from the kings back in the day. Historically, in that period of time for entertainment, and it made perfect evolutionary sense. But as time evolved, music evolved, people evolved, they're like, what about anger, aggression, sadness, fury, sexual emotion, like so much more than just being prancy, happy, joyful. For decades, ballet was ballet, and it's still around, and it's beautiful art, absolutely disciplined with perfectionism to its T.
Right.
At the same time, there's a whole group of people that kind of rebelled, if you want to put that back to put modern context back in the day, and in the 15th century and 16th century, there's all these rebel forces, and there will always be. I think that's the beautiful part of expression and movement. Not even in movement, I mean speech or in free speech or in every other arena, there will always be kind of different viewpoints, and there will always be like a tribe. I feel that way. So coming back to masculine and feminine, I usually don't. I'm opposite. I think I like to explore, because I'm female. I think for many years, especially in the hip hop industry, it's definitely very male dominated.
Right.
And a lot of very masculine strengths. You have to be stronger. And for a long time, I was just like a boy, and I was very masculine. I still have those qualities. And I realized, and that's also a strong thing that I have, I'm a woman in a man's world, and I recognize that. I think it's being also very smart. And the balance does not just come internally, it's also external. So I think it's very natural for me to without even realizing, I've tried social experiments even with myself, that if someone's really, really angry, I notice I just become very passive. Like I try to automatically find the balance in the system. And there's something beautiful and magical when that happens. So it's no longer a dance within yourself. That's one yin and yang. But externally within, like, let's say a conversation is yin and yang as well. And then the whole group and the whole industry. So there's all these like concentric circles almost of dynamics happening within a larger dynamic framework. So I learned to see it that way, and it's fluid. And I don't think it's so cut in stone, like, okay, because what was conventional is no longer conventional. Back in the day, everyone, like if you're not a prima ballerina, you're not anything,
Right.
But now it's so amazing. And with technology, it has rapidly and will rapidly continue to change what is contemporary. And back in the day, contemporary dance was postmodernism, modern. But today's contemporary dance is so urban and so different. And that is constantly evolving.
Right.
So what contemporary basically means anything current. So that in itself is, even music in the industry, like disco was a thing in the 70s, and
Right.
then electronic music and EDM and all,
Right.
and but back it was like jazz, and it was just a constant evolution. I think that's the interesting part of the journey. And it might be cyclical, it might be linear, but I think I learned to see it more fluid. And I used to get so confused with, okay, why? What should I do? Like, okay, I want to stick to my brand and be female. No, but what is actually within, again, every female has, like you said, masculine traits, conventionally speaking, but
Right.
that's how we define it now.
Yeah.
Like even beauty in Asia is different from how beauty, like if you go to Thailand, or long earlobes or long necks, or like
Right.
if India, voluptuous women are a thing, like how you define it is culture. It's different in every geographic zone. Because I traveled so much
Right.
and live in so many cities, it's interesting to see how people perceive simple topics like female, feminine, beauty. And today's LGBTQ generation, I love it because gender fluidity is interesting because you no longer stereotype yourself to a gender. And I think that's amazing. But at the same time, with more options available to us, it makes me really clearer about the decisions I'm making. With more options and choices, I feel I want to be even more firmer with my decision making.
Yeah. Right.
For this project specifically, and I'm consciously trying to brand myself, and like Venus Chun, I want to explore my womanhood. So that's my personal journey.
Gotcha.
And it becomes my brand. It becomes my art. It becomes, because it's who I am today. But the 10-year ago Chun was not
Right.
Venus Chun. She was really very like hip hop and boy and like strong and doing all the things the boys can do. And that's okay. And I think that's the beautiful part, looking back on my journey. And I'm excited to see what's ahead.
Yeah.
On what I would say 10 years from now. Hopefully we'll have this again soon.
Yes.
10 years time. And I'm curious to see. I don't think it's so cut in stone like, okay, cultural shall dictate. I think I learned to see as an artist that it is what it is now, and I can dance with this conversation of what culture means and the rules that are around. But it's also a dance. I think it's yes, no, maybe so, but it's a conversation, it's a dialogue. And who knows where this dialogue can bring, because I think my goal is to really, through art, we can change the culture. So I believe, maybe I still, that even for example, there's, of course, people complain a lot about Trump and America and everything. Of course, I don't like what's happening, but what can I do about it as an artist, and what can I do with what I have right now at this point in time in 2019? What do I want to say? What do I want to do? What can I change? What can't I change? And having that approach gave me so much more peace at this point in time, and also motivation to move and act. I think that's much more empowering to me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking on this point. It's been really amazing to interview a lot of women who have made it so far in the arts industries and in the tech industries and different areas. And it is not at the end of the day about being a woman or a man. It's about navigating culture. It's about being yourself in all these different multiplicity of cultures, right? So in this show that you're doing with these 5 a display. You're doing a movement display of the 5 elements in a sequence that follows the feminine arc in the Yin and Yang philosophy. Can you talk a little bit about how technology is going to be infused in your show?
Absolutely. I think that's the beautiful part. It's only a primordial stage and a almost incubus test. I think that's the beautiful part of residencies. You get to really test out ideas and be brave with all the choices. So each element station has each a different technology to play with, because I wanted to create that differentiation, not just in dance, but also in tech. And of course, if people who are in tech will be like, oh, wow, that's cool, like how it intersects. So I like that each element has this different tech, brief, and all are shot in VR, 360, and AR. So that's pretty cool as an overall arc and lens to kind of icing on the cake with the tech for the whole dance showcase.
So that's more on the branded content, right? So the branded content's going to have VR and AR content that you can digest as a consumer?
Yes, correct. And it's out there. It's just but each element has a tag. So maybe we can start with water element. We're just doing VR. Before they come in, we have a 2-hour interactive gallery. So these people the public get to come in and almost like play with the arts and kind of interact with the art is what I wanted. So, and also there's physical arts by Sophocles. He painted a lot of really cool comics and stuff. And some of Ephraim also has a little like sketch with pencil that like on Earth. And once you lens over with the app, you can kind of literally see the painting come alive.
Oh, cool. So that's the AR. That's the AR function right there.
So AR for Earth. We also have AR for fire. It's a trigger point as basic AR. But what did a really great job is like he basically took a picture of me, and when you lens over with the app or phone or iPad, you get to really see me dance.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's one installation for fire. Water is with VR painting. So we're allowing them to do tilt brush and just exploring painting in VR and 3D. I think that'll be pretty cool for a lot of people. As well as for metal. Metal is pretty static. It's more of LED lights. So I do my own LED lights, and allowing them to actually kind of play with the props is kind of interesting. And people they're like, oh wow. It's really interesting. I love to see their reactions and how people interact with interactive art galleries. It's always very surprising, and the questions they ask you. So I'm excited to host and just answer the questions. Awao is with you. So shout out to Palmer Foot, Ocean Cat Music. He's going to be doing with me for Awao Tech. It's just basically allowing them to kind of play with this little remote. Of course, it's not too expensive, the suit, but just a little remote for them to kind of like play with the sound through movement. So as they move through space, it creates a different sound. And with this synthesizer, it's going to be amazing for them to map. Last but not least is Earth. I'm very grateful for Tamanda. He's doing an amazing job. He took Earth as a topography. So his concept is basically as there'll be lines on the floor. So as you move closer to the Kinect, you kind of change the topography behind you. So it's like interacting with the earth in that sense, literally with your movement. So the closer or further based on displacement distance from you and the Kinect, it changes the
And the
projection.
Kinect is a little piece of tech that is like a camera that points at you, and if it can tell how far away or close you are.
Yes. So he mapped it. Yeah, a lot of coding. He's using Max to code. Yeah, and of course, the last Yin Yang, the grand finale, we're using the Touch Design Connect. That's the 4 people one. So we can do a little hustle dance. Me and my teacher will be doing a hustle dance piece for Yin. He's wearing all black, I'm wearing all white. It's just like Yin and Yang dance to culminate the entire show with Hustle, one of my favorite partner dances. I've been working uniquely to New York. It's only here. It's amazing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's called Hustle. Born in the 1970s for disco, traditionally to disco and house music.
Nice.
And that's also a connect too with the touch design, allowing them to kind of like, as we move, so we're wearing black and white, when we move the 5 colors behind us will trail. So it's kind of like a dance with 5 element colors and yin and yang visually. I hope I didn't miss anything. I feel I'm missing a lot of tech.
No, that really sums it up. And one of the things that you touched on was this idea that people who are interacting with this tech will ask questions and will have these reactions that just really light up the night. And are you expecting people to try all of them? Or are you expecting people to kind of go in, maybe fall in love with one and just stay there the whole time?
Yeah, I like that it's open, so it's fluid. I also like that gallery is a really great opportunity for me to talk and meet people and allow them to connect with each other. And I think that's very important, especially in a city like this. I think it can be a very lonely city, and I want to create community. That's why I have an after party. I'm very grateful. I used to throw parties in the city called Get Together NYC. We've all gone our separate individual solo career ways. But I'm very grateful for my DJ friend to come back. He's like a Latin Grammy Award. He won, I don't know what, he's good. His resume is just ridiculous. But he's gonna come and spin for me. It's just so sweet. I'm so grateful. It's like a throwback.
The after party is here.
Correct. The after party, 2 hours, and he's just gonna just go off and spin amazing things. And it will just be a wonderful social time as well.
Amazing.
Amidst the immersive experience and all the lights. And at the end of the day, I think something very valuable is people and the connections that you make everywhere, I think. And with technology, you can even transcend across. We actually wanted to live broadcast, but I think it was too much. So we just for this show, definitely not. But it would be cool to even interact with Singapore or Tokyo at the same time, real time. It would be interesting. And I'm excited to see where this would grow and develop.
Right.
Because technology allows you to, you can literally see in VR, if you have VR goggle in Singapore, you can literally log in and see at the same time. It's amazing and it's possibility. So we will see where this takes. I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, in terms of what's next, where do you think in your experiences and you're seeing what's going on at Jump and seeing what's going around in all your different venues that you perform at, I'm sure you just have all these venues that you've seen and all this different types of tech, very low DIY stuff, very high tech, very produced shows. Where do you see tech going with its relationship to dance?
Great question. I think it's truly unlimited possibilities, but at the same time, we are finite as humans. So I think that's the part that I realize where arts come in, not just dance, but I think people still drive what is tech, the man behind the mask. I think that the mind behind the body, I think even in dance. So I think that is very valuable and we still have not caught up yet, I feel. Tech is growing very rapidly, but I think the human connection can even grow even deeper and stronger. And I think that's where dance comes in. At least dance is my conversation point, but even music, I feel there is so much more to be done. The more I enter tech, I see and I feel, and it's only in the test phase. This is only the beginning. And it's also kind of daunting, wow, it's like a dark black hole of how you only use 1% of your mind is 98% of subconsciousness. It's just ridiculous. This, I can see that empty darkness when I'm excited as an artist. I used to be so afraid of the unknown, but now I'm actually very excited to see how dance is so useful because I think dancers are pretty amazing and they can morph in many ways and do amazing things, not just with their body, but it's the mind of the dancer. I think as I meet more people, even in dance, the stronger the dancer is really from a strong mind. You have a strong body. It's the same as tech. It's only the body, is the brain that drives the body that is much more valuable and unique.
Yeah.
And so that's I noticed that. So it's the same in tech. I think in any industry, it's interesting. The more I meet so many people from other industries and collaborate with them, it's just kind of we are one. We're really the same. It's everybody, kind of not to dumb it down, but the same struggles, similar struggles at the same time. And I think it's much more, I foresee this bubble almost, maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of going back to live trainings, to personal connection, to technology has allowed us to connect with people. Literally, I just had a conversation for Singapore, just call, done.
Right.
I am so in touch with the world and people around the world than ever before because and it's free. I can just WhatsApp call, WeChat, there's a jillion things. It's great. But at the same time, I feel of course, people always complain, oh, tech, devoid of humanity, lost. But actually, why not use this tech for humanity is where I am. Why not use this technology for dance to express something? It's only a vehicle. Don't be afraid of the machine. It's the machines. You made the machine, somebody made the machine, but you can use the machine. It's just a tool. So I see it that way, not just dance, but also tech or any modality. It's in a toolbox.
It just seems like you, with this project and with this performance that you're going to give at Jump, it seems like you're connecting all of these pieces from all these different places, whether it's tech, arts, community building, self-help, honestly, coming in and painting for a bit in VR is a very meditative process. So if you want to come and check out the show, come through on September 3rd and come visit Chun at her show. It'll be a dope time beforehand. It'll be a great show. And then you'll be able to experience the after party as well. And is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, thank you for doing my show as well, Howard.
Thank you so much for coming in to Immersive Talks and taking the time to talk on this podcast. I really appreciate your time and your words, and I hope we can do this again.
Thank you.
Brought to you by Bigfoot Music and Sound and Jump Into the Light.